Hi everyone, my name is Carrie. I am the Teen Services Librarian at the Mount Airy Branch Library of Carroll County Public Libraries. This is Teen Central. I'm welcoming you from my home, and we're going to be doing some book talks about my favorite books today. I do have an assistant. I don't know if you heard, my musical coordinator for today is my daughter Margot. She's helping out. She's made some signs for me, and she's going to be in charge of the music portion of our book talks today. You want to say hello? Hello. Thank you. So I know the library is closed right now, and we're all trying to find some things to entertain ourselves. I know you kids have a lot of schoolwork, you have a lot of stuff that you have to do around the house, as do the parents with work from home, and everybody's in those spaces. But reading a book for pleasure is a really great way to kind of escape all of that stress and noise and tension. And also family reading is a great way to bond. So some of the books I'm going to talk to you about are really great family reads as well. So for tweens and teens, and really everybody older than that as well. So we can't get into the libraries to get physical books right now. I have some of my favorites that I'll be showing you here in person at my house. But you can also access these books from our website. This is library.carry.org. So library.carr.org. And the two main resources that I'm going to talk to you about today are Libby, which is the newer app for Overdrive. So you might have used Overdrive in the past, and you can still use Overdrive. Libby is just a new, it works better with some newer devices and is a little bit more user-friendly. And the other one is Hoopla, which is another streaming service that we have, or another digital service that we have. They have streaming video, they have music, and they have ebooks and audiobooks as well. So some of the books I'll talk to you about today are available on those sources, and I'll tell you which books are available where as well. So to get started, I did the true library nerd thing. I'm going to present 5 books to you in alphabetical order by the author's last name, because I just love these books so much I couldn't do it in any other order. So the first book is actually a really good example because I am rereading this book now. This is one of my all-time favorites, The Girl Who Drank the Moon by Kelly Barnhill. It was a Newbery Medal Award winner a few years ago. I know, it was a really great book. So this is maybe the 4th or 5th time that I'm going back to reread it. It is available in ebook form on both Libby and Hoopla. The publisher and both commonsensemedia.org, I don't know if you have used that resource before as a kid or as a parent looking for book reviews. If you want to see if there's a book that you might want to read, but you're not sure about the content of it, you can go to commonsensemedia.org, and they have book reviews from the adults, book reviews from kids. It'll also tell you if there's like anything that you might be concerned about reading about, sex, drugs, language, violence, you name it. And it'll kind of give ratings on those different things. So it's a really great resource if you're not sure if a book is right for you. But both the publisher and Common Sense Media rate it at ages 10 plus. I would agree with that. It's a really fantastic kind of coming of age story. It's a fantasy. It's a really great book. I always recommend it to people who've read all the Harry Potters and really liked it. It's beautifully written. It's really complex, has a lot of different storylines interwoven into one, and it's just in one book. It's not like the whole Harry Potter series, which is amazing. But this is a really just beautifully written book. So I'm just going to read you the inside flap of this book. Again, it's available on Libby and Hoopla. So The Girl Who Drank the Moon. Every year, the people of the Protectorate leave a baby as an offering to the witch who lives in the forest. They hope the sacrifice will keep her from terrorizing their town. But the witch in the forest, Zan, is kind. She shares her home with a wise swamp monster and a perfectly tiny dragon. Zan rescues children, delivers them to welcoming families on the other side of the forest, nourishing the babies with starlight on the journey. One year, Zan accidentally feeds a baby moonlight instead of starlight, filling the ordinary child with extraordinary magic. Zan decides she must raise this girl, whom she calls Luna, as her own. As Luna's 13th birthday approaches, her magic begins to emerge, with dangerous consequences. Meanwhile, a young man from the Protectorate is determined to free his people by killing the witch. Deadly birds with uncertain intentions flock nearby. A volcano, quiet for centuries, rumbles just beneath the Earth's surface. And the woman with the tiger's heart is on the prowl. The author of the highly acclaimed award-winning novel, The Witch's Boy, has written an epic coming-of-age fairy tale destined to be a modern classic. And I agree. It is a fantastic, fantastic read. It's a really great read if you're an adult and you have tweens and teenagers. It's a great book to read together. There's a lot of things to discuss. And I always stress this for the parents mostly because kids aren't as concerned. There is a girl who's the main character. She's on the cover. But boys love this book just as much as girls do, if we're talking in binary terms. So this is a great book for everybody. Really, like I said, fans of Harry Potter would love it. Any other fantasy books too. So that is my first one.
Can we read this book?
I think that in a couple of years, we will read this book together. I don't think there's anything... You love Harry Potter. I don't think there's anything terribly graphic in it, so you can read it with younger kids. This is an 8-year-old here, for example. But I think there's some things in it that they will just appreciate more when they're older. So I would say starting at 10, 11, 12 is an ideal range. I think it's a great book. It's technically a mid-grade book. It's a really great book for kids who are older, who are reading YA and adult books, but don't want as much of the graphic stuff or romance. It's just a really, really great story for everyone. Good question.
Thank you.
We'll read it eventually, don't worry. So the next book I want to share with you, this is another Newbery Medal winner. I didn't do that on purpose. I just realized when I was putting this stack together, yeah, wonderful, that there were a lot of award winners in this stack that I was going to share with you. So this is Mercy Suarez Changes Gears by Meg Medina. Amazingly written book. It is available on Libby as an ebook. So you'll be able to read it there. The publishers and Common Sense Media both rate it for ages 9 and up. This is one that I think you can read with a younger kid as well as a family read. But it's really fantastic. So 9 and up if they're reading it themselves. So if you forgot, there are ebooks and audiobooks on Libby, which is for Overdrive, and on Hoopla. So this one is just on Libby. So it's a good read-alike if you like Kate DiCamillo's books, some of her more realistic fiction. This is a realistic fiction. There's no fantasy in this. Hello Universe by Erin Entrada Kelly is another realistic fiction, or Henna Khan's More to the Story. So it's really a family story. It's about friends. It's about changes and how you deal with those changes. And also about feeling like you're being sheltered from something by the adults in your life. And kind of navigating that as a kid. So I will read the jacket flap for you. Mercy Suarez Changes Gears. 6th grader Mercy Suarez doesn't have a big house or fancy vacations like other kids at Seaward Pines Academy. She's a scholarship student who lives with her extended family in 3 little houses they call Las Casitas. But everything feels different this year. And not just at school, where Queen Bee Edna Santos has set her sights on Mercy's school-assigned sunshine buddy, Michael Clark. At home, Mercy's beloved grandfather, Lolo, has been acting strangely, falling from his bike, calling people by the wrong names, and getting angry over nothing. Mercy is worried about Lolo, but no one in her family will tell her what's going on. Just when it seems things couldn't get worse, something happens that puts everything into perspective and forces Mercy's family to finally face the issue they've been avoiding. In a coming-of-age tale of humor and wisdom, award-winning author Meg Medina gets to the heart of the confusion that defines middle school and the steadfast connection to family. Just a fantastic, fantastic read. And Mercy's story, Meg actually had published in the short story collection, Flying Lessons, which is a short story collection with many other amazing authors, arranged by We Need Diverse Books. And Mercy's kind of short story was in there initially, and then she expanded it into this book a few years later, and it's just fantastic, fantastic family read. All right, so the next book I'm going to show you, this is a longer book, but it goes really quickly. This one is Echo by Pam Muniz Ryan. I'm trying to get it so it's not have that glare on it. I have a shiny copy of it. Also, a Newbery Honor book that we have here. This book is available on Libby in the ebook form and the audiobook form. Now, I have only read this book. I haven't listened to the audiobook, but it's gotten amazing reviews for the audiobook. As you can see on the cover, there's a harmonica, and that is kind of something that ties this whole story together. And it's my understanding that the audiobook version has some music tied into the audio version as well to kind of enhance it, which is amazing. So as you can see, it's a slightly longer book, but it's really quickly moving. The publisher has rated it for ages 9 and up. Common Sense Media has rated it for 11 and up. I would kind of say somewhere in between. Again, like I would feel comfortable reading this book with my 8-year-old, but I think on their own, a kid would probably want to be at least 10, 11, 12 to read it, or older. It's another great book for kids who are older who are reading YA books but maybe aren't as interested in romance and those sorts of things, those more serious issues. But it is a historical fiction. It's got a little bit of magic woven in, but really that's kind of bookended through the book. There's kind of a magical thread through the story. But really, it's historical fiction at its heart, I think. It's not terribly graphic, even though it's a World War II book. My copy doesn't have the back flap, so I am going to, or the front flap matter. I'm just going to read you what the publisher has here as a description of the book. An impassioned, uplifting, virtuosic tour de force from a treasured storyteller. Lost and alone in a forbidden forest, Otto meets 3 mysterious sisters and suddenly finds himself entwined in a puzzling quest involving a prophecy, a promise, and a harmonica. Decades later, Friedrich in Germany, Mike in Pennsylvania, and Ivy in California each in turn become interwoven when the very same harmonica lands in their lives. All the children face daunting challenges, rescuing a father, protecting a brother, holding a family together. And ultimately, pulled by the invisible thread of destiny, their suspenseful solo stories converge in an orchestral crescendo. Richly imagined and masterfully crafted, Echo pushes the boundaries of genre, form, and storytelling innovation to create a wholly original novel that will resound in your heart long after the last note has been struck. So this is a book that I've done with several different book clubs, intergenerational book clubs, another really great family read. If you're looking to read a book with your family to kind of turn some of the screens off and just reconnect, but you're not sure what conversations you're going to have, this is a really good one to do. So do you want to hold that up? It is available on Libby as the audiobook and the ebook, so you can read it or listen to it. And just a quick note, with Libby, and with Hoopla as well, but more so with Libby. There are a certain number of copies available, just like there would be physical books. So if something is already checked out as an ebook or an audiobook with someone else, it will tell you like what number you are on hold and how long you have to wait for it. But often those times look way longer than they actually are. We may have bought extra copies. We may be stocking up on extra copies. Our collections department's really bulking up on a lot of e-content right now. So don't feel discouraged if you go in and you find the perfect book for you and it is already taken, and you put it on hold and it says this will be available in 8 weeks. Really, in my experience, it's been a much, much shorter period of time. You'll get it surprisingly quickly through there. And also, Libby especially, they also have a preview where you can read a little bit of the book before, and it doesn't matter if it's checked out or not, and it's usually about 50 pages. So for some of these books, that really gives you a head start on reading the books, and it's exactly how it appears on the ebook version. Excellent. So Marga's holding up the next book that I have. This is a really special one because we've watched this movie, right?
Yes,
Wonderstruck, right? Thank you. Amazing.
Did the cover break?
Yes. No.
Oh.
No, this is an amazing cover. So if you haven't heard of Brian Selznick, he is an amazing illustrator and author. He has written The Invention of Hugo Cabret. He's written, this is kind of his second book in this format, Wonderstruck. And he's also written another one in this format called The Marvels. Now, whenever I look at ebooks, I'm a little bit skeptical when it comes to books with illustrations. But I checked this one out, the ebook version, and it's amazing. You're not missing out on anything. So Brian Selznick's specialty with those 3 books, this one included, Wonderstruck, is that part of the story is written in words, just like normally a normal chapter book would be. And part of the story is written just in illustrations. And I'll kind of show you some of the detail in here. So he does these pencil illustrations. He actually does them very, very small, much smaller than they blow them up for the book. So you can see all the pencil lines. I'll share some of it with you. And this is a book that's out from Scholastic Press. So again, this is one that if you're waiting for it on Libby, you can preview it. So that's where I went in and looked at all the illustrations to make sure you can actually zoom in on the Libby app. It's almost better than having the real book in your hands. But this book is available on Libby in ebook format. His other books, Hugo Cabret, The Invention of Hugo Cabret, and The Marvels are also available on there. I think they may have Hugo Cabret as an audiobook also. I have not listened to that. I think that you might be missing something without seeing the illustrations, but I'm sure they did an amazing job in translating that to the audio. So, Libby, for an ebook, for Wonderstruck. Common Sense Media and the publishers, they say 8 or 9 and up to read. I think that's perfectly fine. Again, I think this is a solid tween read if they're reading it on their own, but it would be a really great family story. This one is cool because there are 2 intertwined stories. Ben is kind of modern day-ish or close to modern day, and Rose is 50 years prior, but they're both the children telling their stories in this, and the stories are interwoven. There's family secrets. It's just really fantastic. I'll read a little bit of the inside flap because I've already told you a lot, but let's see. So Ben and Rose secretly wish their lives were different. Ben longs for the father he has never known. Rose dreams of a mysterious actress whose life she chronicles in a scrapbook. When Ben discovers a puzzling clue in his mother's room, and Rose reads an enticing headline in the newspaper, both children set out alone on desperate quest to find what they are missing. Set 50 years apart, these 2 independent stories told in words and pictures weave back and forth with mesmerizing symmetry. How they unfold and ultimately intertwine will surprise you, challenge you, and leave you breathless with wonder. Rich, complex, affecting, and beautiful, with over 460 pages of original artwork, Wonderstruck is a stunning achievement from a uniquely gifted artist and visionary. So just a fantastic, fantastic book. And even though it is very large, it goes very, very quickly. Just an amazing story. So lastly, oh, and you know what? I don't think I told you the read-alikes. For Wonderstruck, really, his other books, The Marvels, The Invention of Hugo Cabret, are just amazing. They are all realistic fiction with an element of mystery and action in them. So really fantastic if you like those types of stories. Thank you. My last book that I'll be talking to you guys about today, The Secret of Nightingale Wood, by Lucy Strange. I think out of all of these, this is still kind of in between that mid-grade and YA kind of technical classification, but I think this one definitely skews older for how much they can appreciate the book. It's really beautifully written. I actually have done this for an adult book club as well, because it's just such a well tied together package of storytelling. Thank you. So, The Secret of Nightingale Wood by Lucy Strange. She is an author who lives in Great Britain, and her book takes place there. This one happens in 1919, just after World War I, and it is available on Hoopla as the audiobook. Thank you. Behind me, you can see her most recent book, which I also loved, is also available as audiobook on Hoopla. So remember, if you go to library.car.org, what you can do is under our collections, there are ebooks and audiobooks that you just click on that first link, and that will take you down. You'll see a link for Libby and see a link for Hoopla as well. So for Secret of Nightingale Wood, the publisher and Common Sense Media, they list it as 8 and up. I think for my reading it, I would say 10 and up. It really depends on your kid. There is a tragic incident that happens in this story that happens before the story begins, and part of the mystery is unfolding what actually happened with that incident. And I think it's kind of a bit of a psychological mystery as well, because as you're reading it, you're not sure, is this a ghost story? Is this a fantasy story? There are a lot of twists and turns. It's definitely mystery. But it's just fantastically written. It's one that when you get to the end of it, you really want to immediately go back and read again and just like look at it and be like, how did I miss that? What didn't I see? So I'll read you the inside flap on here. 1919. Mama is ill. Father has taken a job abroad. Nanny Jane is too busy to pay attention to Henrietta and things she sees, or thinks she sees, in the shadows of their new home, Hope House. All alone with only stories for company, Henry discovers that Hope House is full of strange secrets, a forgotten attic, ghostly figures, mysterious firelight that flickers in the trees beyond the garden. One night, she ventures into the darkness of Nightingale Wood. What she finds there will change her whole world. So this is a really fantastic, fantastic book. Be a great, great read-alike. There aren't too many books that are set in the period of World War I. In general, usually books focus on World War II, just like Echo, just like Our Castle by the Sea, her newer book. But this one, another companion book would be Wolf Hollow by Lauren Wolk. Just a fantastic book that also takes place in that time period, but that one takes place in the United States, kind of in Appalachia. So those are good read-alikes as well. So this one, again, is available Hoopla as an audiobook, as long as her others. And I'll be showing you some other books in future book talks as well. Something I wanted to mention, these are my favorite books, but really to find a book that you love and want to read and reread over again, That's a really personal decision. So there are some really great resources, even though, like I said, we can't get into the library right now. But if you go to our website, library.car.org, under collections, you'll find, like I said, Libby and Hoopla. There's also a new online resource that we've just provided since closing down called Teen Book Cloud that has a ton of graphic novels in it. I love graphic novels. I just don't have a lot of physical ones with me to show you. But that resource has a lot of graphic novels, and the illustrations come through perfectly in ebook form. And that is, again, free with your library card to sign up for and use. That resource, Teen Book Cloud, also has a lot of classics, a lot of good nonfiction things as well. But also on Libby, one of my favorite things about the Libby app, if you scroll down, I use mine on my phone. If you scroll down, once you log in and you have like the library search at the top, there is a What's New button. And you can click in there either into new audiobooks or new books. And once you click in there, there are categories that you can narrow it by. So some of these books would fall under juvenile fiction, and some of them would fall under young adult fiction. But there's nonfiction, there's anything you can imagine. And it will show all of the new books that have been added recently. So I did that the other day, and even though I don't have the physical books and I haven't read them yet, the ones that I'm waiting for to come out, I wanted to tell you about because they're really amazing. So there's Rick by Alex Gino. Looks fantastic. I'm going to put that on my reading list. That's on my to-read list. When the Stars Are Scattered. This is a graphic novel by Victoria Jameson and Omar Mohammed. Looks fantastic. It's getting great early reviews. It just came out, I think, this week or last week. So none of us have had a chance to physically get our hands on it yet. So that's a graphic novel that's on Libby that will be available. Stamped is a nonfiction book by Jason Reynolds and Ibram X. Kendi. That's on my to-read list. That should be really, really fantastic. That one's already out and on Libby available. And also, another nonfiction is Almost American Girl by Robin Ha. So those are some of the ones I'm really, really looking forward to. So if you have any questions, if you need any specific book recommendations, I know some of mine were historical fiction, some of mine were fantasy today, with a little bit of mystery thrown in there. We'll be talking about others. If you have a particular genre that you're looking for, just leave a comment below, and I will work on getting a good recommendation for you, either a read-alike or let you know where it's available, if it's available on Libby or Hoopla or Teen Book Cloud, and all of that. So if you're a diehard and you have a new book coming out, like I know the 4th Hunger Games book is coming out next month, and we're going to have a big party with that. So we're going to revamp how we do that and figure out how to do it online. But we do have an amazing resource here in Carroll County with A Likely Story. This is the bookstore that, an independent bookstore that sponsors all of the library's programmings. Whenever we have an author event or are selling books, they are the ones behind that. So they are still up and functioning and delivering locally. So if you just have to, and you don't mind paying the money, that money goes to that local organization who has supported the library so much. Otherwise, I'm going to try to find for you whatever free resources the library can provide for you while you're home, while we're all home. And so I have my assistant here. Did you have any last words?
I liked all the books, and my favorite part of this was the sound effects.
That was my favorite part too, was the sound effects. Were you guys able to hear the sound effects? Yeah. So again, Libby, Hoopla, amazing resources on our Carroll County Public Library website. I am Carrie. I had a great time spending this time with you. Thank you for listening. Again, leave any questions in the comments. Do you want to say bye, Margot? We'll be coming back every week, Mondays at 2 p.m. with Teen Central. So different activities, different programs, some more book talks. We'll be book talking some more of these books because I just can't stop talking about all of my favorite books. And I want you guys to know that we do still have access to some of these things, even though a lot has changed in the past month. Oh, Leilani of the Distant Sea.
Yeah, I really want to read this one.
Yeah, such a good book. Great.
There's a giant bird on the cover. I never noticed that.
Such a great book. So thank you for listening. Have a great day, guys.